Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Happy Tech Day. Today is Ohio Tech Day, and we're celebrating at DriveOhio by sharing information on today's webinar about all the things that we're doing that hopefully help you reach out to students and talk about STEM career opportunities. We're going to give it just another minute or so, and then we'll get started with our presentation. We will be recording today's webinar and sharing a link afterwards with everyone, whether they were able to attend or not. There should also be a handout that you can find that you can download a copy of the slides that we're sharing here today. Again, those materials will also be shared afterwards, but that's in there if you want to get an early access to those slides.
Rich, we are not seeing the recording.
Okay. Before I get started, that's something you want to try, or is that something I need to try for the technical discussion?
If you want, I can try taking back control and see if I can do it.
Good, that'd be great. Thank you.
Well, there we go. Video 1.
On behalf of Governor Mike DeWine and the Ohio Department of Transportation, which could be called the Ohio Department of Mobility, we're very excited to partner with the Ohio STEM Learning Network. At DriveOhio, we define smart mobility to include automated and connected vehicles and infrastructure deployed on the ground and in the air. Our statewide projects solve community challenges across 5 smart pillars: safety, mobility, access, reliability, and talent. When we talk about talent, we're talking about you and your students, training the next generation of our workforce for jobs that don't quite exist to solve problems that haven't fully been defined. At DriveOhio and the Ohio Department of Mobility, we believe in the power of partnerships. We look forward to working with each of you during the upcoming school year, and we're excited to see how STEM drives Ohio into the future.
There's a great introduction from our director, Dr. Marchbanks, sharing the importance of STEM. So I want to welcome everybody. It's Ohio Tech Day, and we're glad to be here with you. I'm Rich Granger from DriveOhio. My role is workforce development, and we're here to talk about things that we're doing to support all of you around the state with education and career outreach. So with that, we are going to progress through a presentation that can also be a conversation. So as you think of questions, we have a place where you can put questions into the question box there. We'll monitor those and answer them either in real time as we're talking through it, or certainly towards the end of our time together here. So let's get started with our conversation today. So as you can see here, we work with smart mobility on the ground, in the air, and everywhere, as Dr. Seuss might say. We've got connected vehicles that talk with each other and with the infrastructure around them, including with roadside units and traffic signals and things like that. with the technology we work with, we talk about automated vehicles, self-driving on the ground. We work with different air mobility options. We've got drones. We've got electric air taxis. We're going to talk about all that. We've got electric vehicles and the charging stations that go with it. Let's make sure that we get our picture up that matches what I'm saying. There we go. And so all of these technologies are things that we're going to talk about today. So let's get to it. So, and this is, a similar message to what we share in classrooms. We've been doing that. Sometimes in person, we're preparing a video version of all this, including today's video you could always share with your students, but we'll have more resources throughout the year. So when we talk about the future of smart mobility, it's fun to think about the past a little bit first. So here's a famous picture of a famous aircraft. For those that hadn't guessed already, the Wright brothers. This picture was taken in Ohio, specifically in the Dayton region. This is Huffman Prairie Flying Field, one of the first airfields in the world, where the Wright brothers did all of their design and building and built their business in and around Dayton, and that story continued off into the future. And we're going to come back to that in just a minute. So let's continue our history lesson with the famous invention of the flying car, right? Everybody remembers that 2015 trip to the future. Oh wait, that was right. So that's not really how it happened, but we are working on flying cars, right? So where are the flying cars? What's happening with that? Let's take a look. Here's an example. Look at that, no hands. This was at Springfield Airport not too long ago, and not too far from that test flight we saw with the Wright brothers there at Huffman Prairie Field. This was lift aircraft testing their Hexa personal mobility aircraft, all electric, multiple rotors, and the software is doing a good amount of the work. You still need someone to kind of steer things a bit, but a very interesting example of one of the many new technologies that are being tested in and around the Springfield area. Here is an even bigger announcement. Many of you may have heard this headline last week in Dayton. Joby Aviation is going to be building hundreds of air taxis in and around the Dayton Airport region. It's a huge announcement. The governor was there, Lieutenant Governor was there. There's the CEO of Joby and the leader of DriveOhio, all together with a whole bunch of other important stakeholders talking about this exciting moment in aviation history, not far from where it all began. In fact, they had the event at the Wright brothers' house. So there's that history repeating itself here, where it all started. We're going into the next iteration of flight here. This is what it looks like. There's a Joby aircraft. It's electric. It has those props that can lift it up, and then it can go forward like a runway in the sky. So you're taking off and landing in a very different way, and creating a lot of jobs. They talked about 2,000 jobs in the state of Ohio with this announcement. Huge for the region and huge for the state. And it's really just the beginning. This is the early stages of electric air taxis, as they might call them sometimes, and we expect more announcements like this. Planning them in Ohio, we just got some more work to do. So we're excited to be off to the races with that announcement. During the same week, we also cut the ribbon on the National Advanced Air Mobility Center in Springfield. A super exciting facility that builds on all the testing that's already been happening at that location, thanks to the Air Force Agility Prime initiative close by at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and a lot of other exciting initiatives. When we cut the ribbon last week, there's what it looked like looking into the hangar, and then from the other direction, looking out of the hangar, as we were kicking off the event, I couldn't help but notice in the background there, you've got the past and future of aviation. On the right side outdoors there is a replica of that Wright flight that we showed earlier. And then on towards the left outside there is the big blue Sky Vision vehicle. We use that for air traffic control of drones and other long distance advanced air mobility aircraft beyond the line of sight. So right now, most of the regulations say you have to have that aircraft within sight of the pilot. This enables us to go beyond the line of sight. And that was a collaboration between the Ohio Department of Transportation and the Air Force Research Lab. So Talk a little more about how SkyVision fits into this puzzle later, but a lot of exciting things happen here in the tech space in the state of Ohio. Here's what it looks like on the ground at Springfield Airport. So that first part of the picture, an electric charging station, might look pretty familiar. What you might not know is in that other parking spot, you could wheel up one of those electric air taxis and plug it into the same charging station. How cool is that? Beta Technologies built this charging station, and they also built that vertiport in the background. What's a vertiport, you might ask? Well, if you've ever seen a helicopter take off and land, they call that a heliport. A vertiport, kind of like the name implies, the aircraft goes vertical for all of these electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, sometimes called eVTOLs. That Beta Technologies is one of the companies that's building them. They built that infrastructure at Springfield, and they also got another charging station at that Akron-Canton Airport. So 2 locations in Ohio. They've done multiple test flights, and we're excited to see where that goes next. Here's an example of the Beta aircraft. And whether you've heard of Beta before or not, you've almost certainly heard of UPS. So you can see that's one of their collaboration partners. And you can kind of see from the scale of this picture, this is sort of like a big, flying brown truck, right? So you see those in your neighborhoods or maybe on the roadway systems. Well, here's another option to start moving packages maybe between hubs and other logistics options here that are opened up with this new mode of transportation. So very exciting. Something a little smaller that some of you may have heard of, maybe some of you have even used this service. Kroger was doing drone delivery for about a year down in Southwest Ohio, specifically in Centerville, not far from their headquarters in Cincinnati, also not far from the Dayton Springfield ecosystem where some of this was tested. So while this testing was happening, or while this service was happening, if you were within 2 miles of the store, you could click a button in the app and request a package to be delivered by drone to wherever you're at that location. Now, there was a limit on how much that could carry. When we're with our students, we like to give them a quick engineering quiz here and say, well, based on this, look at that aircraft, judge how big you think it is. I've just told you it can go about 2 miles in a round trip. How heavy of a package do you think it could carry? The answer, 5 pounds. Usually we get guesses a little higher than that, understandably. And when was the last time you thought about how much your groceries weigh? But that's what they were doing for that particular pilot, based on the size of the drone, the battery pack, the motors, and the other variables there. So just a fun example of how you can take something right out of the headlines like this and try to turn that into a quick learning discussion that you can pull in multiple directions. And we'll talk a little more about curriculum in a little bit, but let's keep going through the tech ecosystem here. So this is what the testing looked like. So there's that SkyVision system we talked about earlier out at Springfield. Drone Express was the company that teamed up with Kroger on this delivery service. They tested this in Springfield before they announced it in Centerville. So it's a nice example of how this ecosystem we're building out enables testing and experimentation, and then leads to commercial announcements, all with Ohio-based companies doing the work, which is super exciting. But shifting to the ground, but staying with package delivery. Some of you may have seen these, or maybe you've experienced robot delivery here in Ohio. This picture is from Bowling Green, of course. Starship Technologies is doing robot delivery on the sidewalks and on the campuses of Bowling Green and in the city of Bowling Green. Similar robots are at work on the main campus of Ohio State in Columbus. So when people say, well, when am I going to see self-driving vehicles? Some of them are already here. They're just small and carrying small packages, right? Compared to, we'll talk about some other examples of automated vehicles that are maybe still in development and testing, but just a nice example of how we're using technology already to improve the movement of goods in neighborhoods across Ohio. The movement of people, here's an example of the Smart Circuit. This was the first self-driving shuttle in this service in the state of Ohio, operated through the Smart Columbus program a few years ago. They ran some other goods delivery services through the Linden Leap shuttle, also in Columbus area. And we know up in Youngstown, they're getting ready for an automated shuttle service as well. So these types of pilot deployments are still happening to test out the operations and see where this can can fit into our existing transit network. We talk about the movement of goods. Sometimes we're also talking about luggage. So here's a neat example at CBG Airport. ThorDrive is a company that was previously home-based in California. They chose to move to Cincinnati to test out this technology. So the next time you see those tow tugs moving luggage around on an airport tarmac, double check to see if there's a drive-in. In this case, ThorDrive is testing out driverless tow tractors at CBG and looking at other locations as well. Looking at larger vehicles that are also involved with the movement of goods. Here's a collaboration with Ease Logistics, doing some testing with the Transportation Research Center before deploying truck platooning on the roadways of Ohio through one of our federal grants. There's some routes in Southeast Ohio and other parts of the state. We're testing out technology that allows trucks to stay closer together. Eventually that can lead to higher levels of automation. And so we're testing out different truck automation opportunities around the state. We also have a project along the I-70 corridor between Columbus and Indianapolis, a great collaboration with the Indiana DOT with some federal funds for another round of testing that will be happening soon. So watch for updates on that. Now, for all this automated trucking, there's always a driver on board, a safety operator. So we're testing out some of the earlier levels of automation and then eventually working our way up to potentially higher levels. We talked about electric vehicles. Here's a big announcement in the past year or so from Honda. You may have heard of the battery plant that's going in Fayette County, the Jeffersonville area. Another 2,000 smart mobility jobs announced as part of that exciting announcement, and more work continuing up in Marysville, where electric vehicles will soon be built at that location. So this is not the only announcement in Ohio. There's been similar exciting news around the state, whether it's Ford or Ultium in the Youngstown region, and many others talking about the move to electrification. So as those vehicles hit the market, we need to make sure that we have the charging infrastructure to support. So that's something else that DriveOhio is doing through the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program. All 50 states are receiving funding to build out a larger network of what we call fast charging stations. And so this map here shows the first round of announcements of location, of site locations. Those red stars show new charging stations that are coming soon. And we'll have several more rounds of this program. It's a 5-year program that we're excited to be involved with. And you think about jobs, you've got new skills for electricians involved with this work, and a lot of course, construction work that goes into the build out of this charging network. Let's talk about jobs for a few minutes. There are a lot of opportunities across a lot of different sectors. And to share a perspective on that, we're going to hear from two of our early career friends who've been working in this space. This is Kenya. He's a transportation planner. He was previously a DriveOhio intern. And I actually saw him this morning. He's doing great things up in Cleveland, in his hometown. We're super proud of him. He was at a planning conference in his role as a city planner. So he's going to share in this next video his perspective on technologies and careers. And this is Helen. She's one of our amazing drone pilots at the Ohio Uncrewed Aircraft Systems Center. She flies drones for a living. And in this video, she's also going to share her perspective on what these career opportunities are like. So let's get this video loaded up.
DriveOhio is preparing Ohio's emerging workforce for the next generation of transportation careers, with a variety of workforce development programs from pre-K to PhD. We asked DriveOhio intern Kenya Gray and FlyOhio program analyst Helen McCreary to share their thoughts on smart mobility careers. Here's what they had to say.
My name's Helen McCreary. I work for the Ohio UAS Center. I am the UAS program analyst.
My name's Kenya Gray. I am a workforce and innovation intern at DriveOhio. I'm also a 5th-year student at Ohio State University.
I think a lot of people start off thinking they're going to do one thing and then just sort of come into this industry in a weird way, because it's brand new, like especially drones, but like smart mobility in general. Everything is new. The industry is brand new.
When I first came to Ohio State, I was actually a civil engineer for the first 2.5 3 years of my collegiate career. So I actually started out as a bridge inspector with the RTA, which is like Cleveland's version of COTA here in Columbus. I wanted to switch it up a little bit, do something like more innovative. So when I came to DriveOhio, I was like, this is the perfect opportunity.
I came into this job sort of a roundabout way. I was an archaeologist and I did my master's degree on archaeological prospection, which is sort of remote sensing. And I started using a drone for archaeology and really got into it. Then I came back and got a job at ODOT working for the UAS Center. Half of the UAS Center's job is to prepare Ohio for smart mobility, for drone taxis, drone delivery, medical delivery using drones.
So what me and my supervisor, Rich Granger, do is we go around to different schools around the state pre-COVID, and we would basically have workshops where we would bring our Autobots to them. It's pretty nice to do that, just to see kids and be interactive with them, because that's something that my education lacked. Just to give those kids the opportunity to do something that I never had the opportunity to do, and that's pretty important to me.
We have all sorts of different drones. We have massive drones that we use to carry magnetometers around to look for abandoned wellheads. We have this drone, which we use, this is our bridge inspection drone. It's got really high-level obstacle avoidance systems. Everything that we can do with drones makes everyone's jobs easier and safer.
It's all about being creative and being innovative. I've started a couple projects at DriveOhio, as well as the fact that I've been a part of a couple projects that I never thought would even be possible.
I guess if you wanted to get into this field, it would be great to start off by buying a little drone, flying it around, getting used to thinking about the world in that way, thinking about it from above. When you have a drone in the air and you look down and suddenly like, wow, everything looks different. I'm above it and I can see everything from a new perspective. It will change how we build roads.
You'll probably see more autonomous cars, whether it's just Amazon or taxis or Uber of some sort or Lyft. And I also predict that more people will be more willing to actually use these technologies, because a lot of people are actually afraid of it now. They think that, well, a car driving itself, there's no way it's going to be better than me at driving, but the reality is it's a computer, it doesn't make as many mistakes as humans do. So that's where I think we'll be, just more autonomous vehicles on the road for sure, and people will be more comfortable with it.
Imagine not having to take a road to work. You go in the most direct way possible. Go to the nearest vertiport and you get in your drone and you fly from Canal Winchester to downtown Columbus. It is an incredible field for kids to get into. There are going to be a ton of jobs in the near future, tons of jobs in this sort of realm with using drones to complete tasks, to do survey, to do bridge inspection. There are already tons of jobs in it, and I think that's only going to grow.
Well, they said it better than I could. So always enjoy sharing perspectives like that. That video is available on our website. And when I talk about the toolkit in a little more detail, you'll hear more about resources like that you can share and use with your students. So when we talk about jobs, we're talking about all these different technology areas: electric vehicles, advanced air mobility, automated and connected vehicles. And to drill into that a little bit, I mean, this is intentionally busy to show there's a lot of opportunities, and this is not all of it. These are just a few examples of the different career pathways, disciplines, and fields of study that tie into these different types of smart mobility market opportunities. So, pretty much any engineering discipline you can imagine has something to do with what we're talking about. Here we highlight electronics and electrical engineering, aerospace, mechanical engineering. Many of these systems need batteries, so material science is a big piece of the puzzle here. Civil engineering, city and regional planning, all those types of disciplines. Through the middle there, you can see, whether you're installing electrical lines, piloting a drone, being a test driver. Towards the bottom there, maintenance technicians for both automotive, aviation, electricians. My goodness, we need so many electricians, and I'm probably telling you things you already know, but that's the scope of opportunities here. And I don't even mention on here social media, communications, policy. There's just lots of different dimensions. So if you're finding that students that you're working with are interested in the technology for whatever reason, whatever skills they bring, we can find a spot for them in this ecosystem. It's just a matter of introducing them and making them aware, and then matching it up with their strengths and interests. So just to put a few numbers behind what the opportunities look like, For electric vehicles, here's just some projections. By 2030, up to 25,000 jobs related to electric vehicles, whether it's manufacturing of the vehicles, the battery supply chain, the charging infrastructure. A lot of opportunity spread really throughout the state. And this EV workforce strategy is published online. There's the website if you care to go track that down. It's a lot of detail with a lot more on the way. And it talks about K-12 and career tech prominently in that plan. So we are working both behind the scenes, and then we'll continue to see more announcements out in public about where this strategy is taking us next through industry sector partnerships and lots of collaboration with funding behind it. So stay tuned for more updates on this EV workforce strategy throughout the upcoming year. Another example of some numbers behind all this. This was an economic impact study that we did a few years ago, looking out over the next 25 years for advanced air mobility just in the state of Ohio. Here's the numbers: a $13 billion market. We need 81 vertiports to unlock all this, and we expect 15,000 jobs impacted. Well, we just announced about 2,000 of those last week in Dayton, so we're on our way, but we've got 13,000 more to go. I showed you a picture of that vertiport number 1 at Springfield Airport. We've got 80 more of those to build. So a little more on the topic of vertiports in a few minutes on how we're tying that into the curriculum. So if you ever want to see an example of what a smart mobility career opportunity looks like, you've got to check out the Transportation Research Center. If you're not familiar, TRC is located in Central Ohio in East Liberty, not too far from the Honda Marysville facility. Independent proving ground, largest in North America. Just their test track alone, you could fit the entire Ohio State main campus inside that test track. And that's not even their whole campus out there. You're seeing here a picture of their smart center that's used for testing connected and automated vehicles of all different shapes and sizes. You can see that giant intersection in the background there with all sorts of traffic signals. They've got all sorts of interesting things happening, and they do host tours as well. So if you're ever interested in exploring that, that's a group you could reach out to. But their career website has great examples of smart mobility careers that are here today and available. So we've given you an overview of the technology ecosystem and all the exciting opportunities and applications. We've talked about job opportunities and pathways. So as an educator, as a community stakeholder, what do you do next? Well, to answer that question, we've put together this year the DriveOhio Educator Toolkit. And that's what we want to highlight with the remainder of our time here today, is just walk through that toolkit a little bit, talk about what's in there, a lot of free resources that are intended to focus on K-12 and career tech, STEM and career outreach programs, all related to the technologies and jobs that we've just been talking about for the past several minutes. So there's the website, drive.ohio.gov/toolkit. If you haven't explored that already, you can go check out all the resources. And over the next few slides here, I'm just going to walk through some examples of what's in there, talk about ways it can be used, and share a little more on all of that. Let's start with the curriculum here. We're pretty proud of the collection we've built on our website, but we've got a lot more that still needs to be added. So we're always updating, so keep checking back in with us, and throughout the year we'll promote updates anytime we've added a significant new piece of curriculum onto that page. There's a few different things that you'll see when you go there to the curriculum section. There's some specific pieces of curriculum that DriveOhio has prepared. That's kind of towards the middle of the page. And then along the right side of the page, you'll see a whole bunch of partner resources linked out there, whether it's NASA, COSI, other school partners who've built content. We are not claiming credit for the work that others do. We're just trying to spread the word. There's a lot of great content out there. That NASA content I mentioned is a particularly great example. They have a whole landing page on advanced air mobility STEM resources, and that's just one of many examples listed on that page. So I encourage you to check out the curriculum section, explore those links. We've got videos and lots of other content available. So speaking of, let's take a closer look at some of the curriculum that we feature. I'm going to start with talking about the coding activities we do with Ozobots. It's one of many different examples of coding robots that are out there. Here's a video featuring Kenya once again talking about the work that we do with Ozobots and how they work. So let's give this a quick listen.
Here at the Ohio Department of Transportation, we take student development seriously. STEM is critically important for the future of ODOT. We need young, talented people coming into our industry. And we are so happy to have someone like Kenya Gray, who relates to young people so well, be our liaison for DriveOhio. So here is Mr. Gray. Take it away, Kenya.
Let me take my mask off really quick. Today I'm here to present to you guys Ozobots. What these things are code reading small bots. And so what they do is they read code that you draw and that you color yourself. On the bottom of them you can see these lights here. Those are like the sensors that the Ozobot has to read the codes that you code into the paper and stuff. Here's an actual replica of the Linden shuttle route that I've created. I'm gonna run this Ozobot on the track now. Here we go, okay, it's calibrated. And so what's special about the Ozobots is the fact that they read black as just a stationary color. They're just gonna follow that wherever it goes. And then the important things though is the colors and the order that you put them in. Every different color combination commands the Ozobot to do something different. So here is a bus stop on the Linden route. And so I colored in a code that makes the Ozobot stop for 4 seconds and then it starts going again. And different codes do different things, makes it slow down, go faster, stop, spin around even, or moonwalk. It has a couple different tricks. They're really great for young elementary school students. It's definitely a great introduction to coding. Another cool thing about it is the fact that you can really make any code that you want. There's no limitation on what you can do. Obviously, there are some parameters, but you know, if you just let kids be creative, they can create pretty much anything that they want to. It's a great practice for kids, and I definitely recommend it.
So to supplement that video, we have curriculum resources on our website that provide some talking points and suggested ways that you can build a lesson around that. And it's really just a starting point. If you go to that Ozobot website, like you shared in the video there, there's a lot more that you can access. So, you know, we've worked with other robots as well in the past. You may work with other types, so you may take some of the ideas from that curriculum as a starting point and modify it for other robot platforms, and that's great too. You know, when we talk about those robots, we tend to describe them as tiny little electric delivery vehicles, almost like those delivery robots we talked about earlier. So for our next feature here, I want to go just a little further into a practical example of how we've used these Ozobots. This is our partners at Avalon Elementary School and with City of Columbus Schools. Great collaboration. They've hosted some Ozobot coding days and other types of events. One of their teachers helped produce this video. I'm going to share this, and you can see up close what it looked like in the classroom the day that we visited. Let's give a listen.
Everyone say hi, Ozobot.
Hi, Ozobot.
So, has anyone ever coded before? Yeah, a couple of you.
Well, we're here from DriveOhio, part of the Ohio Department of Transportation. We are the state's center for smart mobility, things like electric vehicles, drones, self-driving vehicles. And so we are all about reaching out to students to get them thinking about job opportunities in this field. So we bring robots, we bring drones sometimes. We were here for Drone Day recently. Today was Ozobot Day, and so we've done all sorts of coding activities to get students thinking about what tiny electric vehicles might look like in their neighborhood, because it's not imaginary. You go to the Ohio State campus, there's already delivery robots scooting around. So this is a chance for students to try this out themselves, practice being a coder, learn what it's like to understand how a vehicle charges itself, what it eats when it's hungry, and all sorts of fun questions like that. And we're always adding more pieces to this puzzle. So today was a smart mobility adventure for the little Ozobot, following a path to get to its charging station. In the future, we might bring some other activities with cardboard parts and loose materials and things like that to build your own city. So we're always expanding and tinkering with these things, and we love seeing what all the students come up with.
So it was so exciting, and I was nervous. and I had really fun when they came first. That was so fun when the Autobot, when we draw the lines. That was so fun because the Autobot can go to the lines, and that was so fun. So the Autobots were pretty much fun. I got to code and make my bot do some cool tricks like spin around, turn, do the moonwalk, and it was fun. I want to say about the Autobots, they are magnificent. I never even knew that Autobots exist, but once I tried it out, my mind blew. I like the Autobots because when I first tried it out, it was really cool, and it started following the trails and the unique paths that makes them follow what you want to make them do. And my favorite part is when we all connected papers to make the Autobot make a really big path.
We are so excited to partner with DriveOhio and give our students an opportunity to be exposed early on to STEM initiatives. This is an effort. As a school counselor, I'm tasked with helping to close the gap and to ensure our students have early access to career exploration, such as those things in STEM. So really these hands-on opportunities of learning how to code and learning how teledrones can help our community and all of the things that technology can bring. It really just gives our students a head start, and to see that curiosity sparked early on, and then their just excitement for learning makes the partnership so important.
I thought it would be boring, but it was fun, and I named my Autobot Mick Fries, and we had a lot of fun, and I wanted to try. This is my first time, and I wanted to try it again. I would say thank you so much for coming, because if they didn't come, I wouldn't get to experience all of this, and it was really worth it that they came.
Well, that's just, I think, a nice example of how we've been able to reach some younger students with this type of activity. And as students get older, we're recruiting them in to help us lead these activities. And we'll talk a little later about our ambassador program as a way to connect in older students with this type of activity. So just to kind of keep going through a few more curriculum examples, here's a newer activity we've been testing out over the summer and rolling out here into the new school year, the cardboard vertiport challenge. So think what you know about cardboard and make challenges and throw in what you might have just learned about vertiports. And there's a lot of different ways you could try this out, but the gist of it is build a vertiport and then fly a drone into it and see how it works. We did a pretty quick version of this over the summer at one of the summer camps with some younger students, and within 30 minutes they were all, they built their first prototypes. They were starting to ask for tape measures to do flight plans. We were sticking our thumb in the air to see what the wind was like, to do a sort of back of the envelope flight plan. Of course, we helped them with the coding on the teledrones using drone blocks in this case. So there's a lot of ways you can unpack this for different age groups. You can turn it into more of an extended challenge, add different materials in there. A lot to think about. And we're also working on new content to pull in just more principles of flight, like lift and weight and drag and thrust, and just throw in a little bit of aerospace in there as well. So a fun activity for a lot of different ages that we think could be stretched out in different directions. Again, that curriculum is available on our website, and we'll continue to update it as we hear more best practices from how others might be using that activity. Going a little further on the theme of vertiports, we have a broader vertiport innovation challenge that goes just beyond the cardboard prototyping into design concepts, maybe even some of the engineering behind what a true vertiport would look like if you built one in your community. We've started this at the college level, initially with the University of Cincinnati, and then expanding out around the state. So we've had 3 different versions of this higher education challenge now. Here you can see one of the concepts that one of our earliest teams from UC came up with just in a matter of a weekend, really. So very impressive work there. This was from our second challenge. Sinclair College team came up with a great concept for a hub and spoke distribution center for the U.S. Postal Service in the Dayton region. And I'm pretty sure that Huffman Prairie Flying Field is somewhere in that map that you're seeing there. So a call back to some aviation history there. And we've done this at the high school level, a few different high schools, Cleveland, Toledo. Here's one from Marysville. Some students overachieved and decided we're not just going to design the vertiport like that cube you see in the background. They designed their own aircraft and they shared those ideas with us. We've given them some feedback from our engineering team. So a great experience for the students to try out a real world problem and then also make connections with future educators that they might work with at our different colleges and universities. We're connecting some of these students with potential employers, sometimes live during the challenge. So lots of different ways to engage. And we have more information on our website about that vertiport challenge if you have local or regional interest in trying that out. These were the partners that supported us on this year's Higher Ed Challenge that just wrapped up last week. From all around the state, all 6 Johns Ohio regions participated. We had 1 airport in each region. The students pitched some great ideas that we're excited to see how we can take those ideas and keep moving them forward. So watch for more details on DriveOhio social media soon about everything that came out of that challenge and keep everybody updated on where it goes next. One of the other pieces of curriculum that we're highlighting is something we're calling the Smart City Adventure. This is inspired by a few different design challenges that others have previously conducted. This shows the work that the team in Smart in Reynoldsburg did for their Smart Reynoldsburg initiative. So every year they take a team of 3rd graders, classes full of 3rd graders, and turn them into city planners for probably a couple of months. They do some prep work in co-spaces and a digital environment, and then they move into physical prototyping like what you see here. Some of them have included Ozobots and other tech in their mock city. A very impressive amount of work that the teaching team did. So when you go to the Smart City Adventure curriculum on our website, you'll see links to all the planning resources that the team at Reynoldsburg was kind enough to share that you can get a head start if you're working in that age group or be inspired to take that idea into an older age group. Another component of that curriculum was the Smart Columbus Middle School Design Challenge. Another great set of resources that the Smart Columbus team built out at the middle school level. Again, very detailed and robust curriculum plans that they've pulled together. We've simply linked to those resources, so we're not taking credit for the work they did, but we're just trying to share the word that here are some ways that you can take the ideas around city planning, new mobility technology, bring it into your classroom, and this Smart City Adventure could connect back with some of those previous activities in curriculum we've talked about, whether it's drones, coding with robots. This could be a series of modules that all build on each other if you wanted to. Or you could just be inspired by this and make it a much shorter, simpler exercise. It's really emphasizing flexibility. So in that curriculum on our website for Smart City Adventure, you'll see several different suggested focus areas. You can pick one or several. Things like electric vehicle charging stations, vertiports, smart mobility hubs, which is where you have multiple modes and multiple technologies potentially coming together in a community. And it's all informed by what are the challenges in your community. And that's where any good solution starts with a real clear problem statement. So we always encourage the design thinking method in a lot of these pieces of curriculum that we share. And you'll see references to design thinking and other mental models and frameworks throughout the curriculum. So we're always building on this. We're always appreciate feedback on ways we can add or improve. So check that out and certainly let us know what you think. And for any of this, if you're using it in your classrooms, feel free to tag it on social media and share, and we'd love to hear about it. This one's still in the prototype stage, but we've started building actually a Roblox adventure here. So a digital adventure. We've got an early prototype. If you have students that are really into game creation and coding, this is meant to maybe inspire some students to maybe help us co-design, co-develop a gaming environment. So just thought we'd share that as a fun example of where we might go next with some of this curriculum. That kind of wraps up the curriculum tour. We're going to briefly touch on a few more pieces of the toolkit, and then we'll want to include some time for questions here. So if you've thought of any questions so far, feel free to start dropping those into the question box. We'll get to those before we wrap up. Just to finish the tour of the toolkit here, professional development resources, plenty of free e-learning that's already available. Here's two examples. The Smart Mobility Training Academy offers some learning modules, e-learning that are in some ways building on what we're talking about here today, but also provide more details on how you could implement a Smart Mobility Ambassador program in your community. And we'll give a little more detail on the Ambassador program in a minute to provide more context on what that means. And then our uncrewed aircraft systems e-learning, if you or any of your students are exploring the FAA Part 107 drone pilot certification, which counts for 6 points towards industry recognized credentials from the state of Ohio, there's a prep course and some other e-learning you can find on that part of our website that's shown here on the screen. Again, all these slides will be shared afterwards, so you can go find these resources, or you can just simply go to our toolkit website and explore and find some links to all this information. And all of that should line up with your CEU requirements, so that's one extra bonus of this free content. One of the other pieces of our toolkit is our Career Connections program that we've rolled out this year. This is closely aligned with the Ohio Department of Education Career Connections framework. For now, we've started by sharing webinars, interviews with employers, so students and counselors and teachers can all hear what happens behind the scenes at some of these employers and what the opportunities look like. We broadcast our first episode earlier this week, some of you may have tuned in for that. We'll have that posted on our website very soon, so if you didn't already have access to that video, it'll be shared soon. We have folks from TRC and Ease Logistics joining us for a great discussion about automated vehicles. Coming soon, we haven't published a date yet for this one, but we'll be producing another interview series focused on advanced air mobility, all these electric air taxis and other things that we're talking about, drone pilots. All those topics will be included in an upcoming episode, so stay tuned for that webinar, and more details will be available on our website. I've referred to the Smart Mobility Ambassador program a few times. There's more information at the website shown here. This is a chance for high school students and even sometimes middle school students to earn volunteer hours in their community by leading STEM activities using the curriculum that we've just talked about. So it's a way to tie together the curriculum with volunteer and work-based learning opportunities for older students. It's something that they could potentially include as part of existing community initiatives, whether that's FIRST Robotics or other team activities. So we're excited to continue sharing this program concept and the support that DriveOhio can provide you to help set up a program like this in your community. And this is Julianne, one of our amazing Smart Mobility ambassadors. She was also a high school intern at DriveOhio. She recently graduated from Northland High School in the Columbus area. And she's off at University of Dayton studying computer science now. So we're super proud of her and can't wait to see what she continues to do as her career gets started. We do have a short video about the ambassador program. This is our last video that I can share. And like I said, prepare it. If you have any questions, you're welcome to drop those in the chat and we can answer those as we wrap up our content here. So let me get this last video up and running.
To expand the reach of our K-12 and career technical programs, DriveOhio launched the new Smart Mobility Ambassador program during the 2021-22 school year. In collaboration with K-12 STEM educators and DriveOhio Alliance partners, we're engaging students of all ages in conversations about smart mobility career opportunities across Ohio. This new STEM outreach program provides high school students with professional development, mentoring, and networking opportunities while learning about smart mobility career pathways, sharpening their coding skills, earning volunteer hours, and connecting with potential future employers. We asked DriveOhio High School intern Julianne Lucambo to share her perspective on the Smart Mobility Ambassador program. Here's what she had to say.
Hello, my name is Julianne. I'm a student ambassador here at DriveOhio. I found out about DriveOhio through Sync internship program that introduced me to ODA, and then I started working with DriveOhio team. The Smart Mobility Ambassador Program is a program for high school students that involves mentoring, professional development, and public speaking, volunteering, and networking. I wanted to network, get into the work experience, and also I wanted to learn a new skill. I've already wanted to learn how to code.
There you go. Plenty more information on our website about that particular program, and glad to discuss if that's something that's of their interest. So that wraps up the content we wanted to share today. Hopefully that gives a good overview of the toolkit. It's all available online at drive.ohio.gov/toolkit. If you want to learn about some of our other workforce programs, you can see we've got our workforce website there, drive.ohio.gov/workforce. If you want to engage with us anytime, you can reach out through email, workforce@drive.ohio.gov, and connect with us to ask questions or follow up. We can do whether you want to call it office hours or whatever you like. Glad to share more perspectives on all of this. I'll keep an eye on the questions here. If anyone from the audience would like to submit any live questions, feel free. I do have some questions that were submitted ahead of time that we can start working through now. One of the questions was about industry recognized credentials. So the question was what industry recognized credentials might be available or complement the toolkit. So we've touched on at least a few of those. We talked about the FAA Part 107, and that again is worth about 6 points towards graduation. And what we have also been trying to do is bundle together related smart mobility credentials. So that is something that we are continuing to look at, watching for new credentials that need to be added to that list. Jumping out of industry recognized credentials for a minute and talking about the tech cred system for incumbent workers, there's another example in the electric vehicle space where the installation of new fast charging stations around the state requires electricians to be upskilled around for a new credential called EVITP. So we made sure that was added into tech cred. Of course, that requires significant experience, so it wouldn't apply to an IRC at the high school or career tech level. But we're always looking at pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship opportunities, especially for electricians. So plenty of examples out there, and we're always appreciative of that discussion about credentials and also graduation seals like the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal. We've been careful to line up our ambassador program with that. I see a few live questions coming in, so I can start talking about that. So, one question here from Nate, there's quite a bit of information. Where do we recommend to start? In this case, teaching at the high school level. Yeah, we definitely don't want to overwhelm. I mean, we're trying to put a lot of resources out there, but a good place to start, if there's one particular piece of curriculum that you see that lines up maybe with some of the standards you're currently teaching to this school year, that might be just a good place to start out. I know, I'll jump to a different grade band for a minute, but maybe the analogy should hold up at different grade bands. So in the K-3 space, we're talking with some educators right now who are doing some social studies learning modules that tie into transportation. So we're pulling some pieces out of that Smart City Adventure curriculum and just integrating that into the work that they do. The curriculum that we've shared here, it doesn't have to be take it or leave it. It can be, grab a few pieces out of that and pull that in. Some of the videos we're trying to share hopefully can supplement. And then as we produce more content like some of these classroom-focused videos, we'll continue to share that out. And if there are opportunities for us to do live Q&A over like a Zoom type of format, that's another option to consider there. So hopefully that helps a little bit of the potential starting point. Seeing if we've got some other questions here. See, I've got Terry teaching career education to K-5 students. That's awesome. Love it. And yeah, any suggestions on things that we are that could be added here, or things that you've been doing, or have seen others do. We really want to share all this out. And we're in the process of getting all of this cross-listed on the DriveOhio K-12 online resources website. So we're hoping to have a collection there soon to help just further spread the word on this material. Another question here from Teresa: can we have someone help us build a custom curriculum for our students in the after-school program? We'd be glad to talk about that. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of what you have seen here today was co-developed with other school partners, sometimes led by some of our high school or college interns. So we try to work closely with students to make it an authentic experience. So if you see something that's maybe a starting point, but you want to brainstorm a little more, we would be glad to set up a one-on-one or small group call, like through Microsoft Teams or Zoom or something like that. So yeah, if you want to reach out to us through our email, workforce@drive.ohio.gov, and just request a follow-up meeting, we would be very glad to schedule that. And we've even kicked around the idea of maybe occasionally hosting office hours. That's kind of what today is almost like, just sharing resources and ideas. So we watch for that over the upcoming year. We may occasionally host that as a chance for maybe some educators to share best practices and brainstorm ideas. But we're glad to meet one-on-one anytime to talk about those things. I will check my list of questions from that were submitted in advance, and of course, if there's others live here, feel free to submit. Yeah, so one of the questions: how would we receive the curriculum? The website is the place to start for sure on that one. Somebody emphasized the importance of electronics-based careers. I couldn't agree more. I mean, whether it's electric vehicles, electric aircraft, even just the electrician skills needed to just electrify everything, and even just more broadly, you've got some big announcements throughout the state, whether it's Intel in Central Ohio, Honda towards the south, Joby Aviation towards the west. Just the building of these facilities requires electrical skills. So just like we've talked about digital skills for the past 10, 20 years as an important skill, which it absolutely is, electrical skills are kind of the new and latest important toolkit there, our skill set. Another question had come in: what age groups are the toolkit tailored to serve? So this is meant to cover a variety of grade bands. We've done our best within each piece of curriculum that we've pulled together to identify which grade bands we think are most applicable, because we realize, a K3 or 3 through 5 classroom is a lot different than obviously a high school or even middle school. So, within some of that curriculum, sometimes we'll identify multiple grade bands, and we'll try to point out where you can dial up the content or dial it back a little bit. But always open to feedback on whether we got the grade bands exactly right, or if there's ideas for how to stretch it in other directions. So we're doing our best to cover, as we like to say, pre-K to PhD with all the work we're doing, and obviously the content varies depending on the audience. And I think we've covered most of the questions that I had seen online. I know we were scheduled for about an hour, and that's about the time we've spent here. So I appreciate everyone that joined us live here, and we'll share this recording out. Unless there are any final questions, I just want to say thanks to everybody for the work that you do. It's so important. And as a parent of an aspiring future teacher who's in third grade right now, I take it personally. We see education as just such a critical piece of the puzzle here in Ohio. So thanks everybody for joining, and we're going to wrap up today's webinar and reach out anytime, and we'd love to work with you. Thanks again. Happy Tech Day.